Hello, and welcome back to the Financial Dad podcast. And also, welcome back to our business planning series for creatives and entrepreneurs.
Welcome back to the Financial Dad, the show where we ask our real dad, a certified financial planner, everything you need to know about starting a business. If you never learned it at school or at home, don't worry, because now you've got a financial dad too.
In our earlier videos, we covered business plans, what they are, why the heck you actually need one, as well as vision and mission statements. And we introduced to you our fictional business, the Brewzone. Today is all about starting your marketing plan.
I'm excited about this because I feel like I know some things, but not everything. And as I've mentioned, I've never gone over all of these things except with you, Dad. So we're going to start with what is our USP or unique selling proposition. So what is that?
In a nutshell, it's a brief description of what is going to make your business different and competitive such that it will win customers and be successful in business. So some people might call it an elevator speech. You know what I mean? Like if you meet somebody in an elevator and say, "Oh, what do you do?" And they say, "Oh, I do X." I'll give you an example. As a financial advisor, my unique selling proposition is that I help conservative investors who want stock market growth to get stock market-like growth without stock market-like risk.
That's pretty good.
That's what I do. Notice that it's not terribly specific necessarily. It doesn't tell them how I do that. It invites the question, how do you do that, right? So it invites someone to ask me, to inquire. And of course, financial advisors need a way to stand out, to compete in a crowded, competitive marketplace. And so does Brewzone. So coming up with a unique selling proposition, sometimes it's called a value proposition. It's something brief and it nails down what you're going to do that's going to be different enough that you're going to win sales that you would not otherwise have won. Either you're going to get people to buy who weren't going to buy, or you're going to get people to buy who are going to buy someplace else, and they're going to buy from you. So that's what the unique selling proposition is. Crafting it is a different matter. I think it's up to the two of you now to try to create a Brewzone unique selling proposition, and let's see what you come up with.
Okay, so it's the elevator pitch, but it's not too specific.
Imagine you're talking to someone in the community.
Yes.
And they say, "Oh yeah, I heard about your store, but well, I go to that other big coffee shop normally. Why would I go to yours?"
What about something like you come here when you don't want any more Dunkin' Donuts? Or
Okay, well, you can't mention.
I
Let's
know.
not talk about individual companies that exist.
Brewzone is the place you come to when you don't want to go to another big box coffee shop.
Why wouldn't you want to go to a big coffee shop?
Boring.
Well, I think that the way that I'm picturing this place is that it's going to be unique in the way that it's furnished. So, like the atmosphere and the furniture, the colors are going to be maybe a little more vibrant, a little warmer, a little more engaging and warm of an environment than just like a typical chain coffee shop. And I like the idea of it being specific to that community. So if we're in a town where there's a lot of artists, you'd want it to be something that has like maybe funky colors going on, and maybe some of the local artists can have their art on the walls, and you can have like price tag, that's going down its own road. But I think this would be more specific to the people who are there, and it's not just going to be some bland, boring, dark space.
What about this? Brewzone is an artisan community coffee space, unlike any big box chain.
I still think it's not enough. It's very good. Hallie, you pulled in a lot of elements from the vision.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the way to go about the USP. Something about that vision describes in part what's going to be unique or different about the place.
Okay.
So now, if you could take everything you said a moment ago and condense it to 20 words or 2 sentences, what would you try to make it be?
It's a warm, inviting environment for the locals of our community to gather, congregate, get work done, and relax in.
Yeah, so that's pretty close, I think. It might be missing the part that the vibe is designed to fit the community, or is specific to our community. The big box chains are not specific to your community. They're kind of all designed the same across the country. That's how they save money in their design costs and their materials costs. They buy it all in bulk and they just put up new stores that look all the same as all the other stores, right? So this is going to be something that's unique and different for this community. And the unique selling proposition describes that in essence. What you're hoping is people will go and maybe even spend more money on coffee or pastries or whatever it is in a place that fits the community vibe, is warm, inviting, cozy, is a place where your friends can congregate, or you can do work, or you can go and, have a cute conversation with somebody or whatever. If you think about, you're differentiating yourself from competition, and your vision, in essence, has to help with that. I mean, if your vision were to create another big box coffee chain, why would I invest with you? Why would I want to go there? That doesn't even help me envision why I would be interested in your business.
So I could say something more along the lines of Brewzone is a warm, inviting, and engaging space with an eclectic energy that matches our unique community so that they can gather, get work done, and have us. I lost my train of thought a little bit there, but do you see where I'm going with that?
Yes.
Kind of putting that in the descriptor before saying what they would do there, I guess.
Yes, and much closer, I think, to a really good, unique selling proposition.
What about Brewzone is an artisanal, community-centric coffee shop where your eclectic personality meets ours or something like that. Where the two come together or you feel at home. There's some kind of, it pulls, I'm trying to be more succinct to what Hallie's saying.
I think you're also making it more cute, though. You know what I mean? Rather than descriptive and emotional.
Making it more cute versus emotional.
Well, where your thing meets ours. That language for me is just salesy. It doesn't motivate me. I want to meet my friends, or I want to whatever, I don't think we have to solve it right now or get it perfect right now, but you see that the process of it, you're taking something from the vision that hopefully is there in the vision, and you are looking at what your competition has, what you see as weaknesses to that competition, at least for your audience, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So for your audience, these are weaknesses, and my company overcomes these weaknesses with these strengths.
Here's another example. I think I did get this right for Visibility on Purpose. At Visibility on Purpose, we get founders featured without being a celebrity or hiring a publicist.
Yeah. I mean, so two of the reasons why they struggle to get publicity is that they're not celebrities and they don't have the deep pockets for a publicist.
Correct.
So that's how you positioned yourself to be competitive, to help them with a problem. I like that.
Thanks. I was really proud of myself.
Yeah.
Now that we've gone over USP, let's talk a little bit more about target marketing. What is target marketing? What do we need to be thinking about? I feel like there's a bunch of moving pieces here.
And there are. Target marketing, it accomplishes several things, but primarily what you're doing is identifying your ideal customer, your ideal buyer of your services. If you're a premium service of some kind, for example, well, premium services typically cost more than ordinary services. So you're probably going to be looking for people who have a little higher income than average because you charge more and you provide something more in your value proposition. Target marketing is about describing that ideal buyer for your ideal products and services. And in doing so, you typically are creating a series of possible ways of reaching that customer. So I'll give you an example. And this is a Brewzone example. If Brewzone is in Little Creek Falls, New Hampshire, okay, it is primarily a place that people come to physically, not an online store, for example. It's not Amazon. It's a physical location. So once you're in a physical location, you start to get into issues of geography, right? The local population becomes the core of your target market. Okay. So you wouldn't say my target market is people in New York City if you're trying to get people to come to a store in Little Creek Falls, New Hampshire, right? So by the nature of your business model and your target marketing, you start to describe who your ideal customers are. And there are a variety of, let's call them metrics, that can be used to describe your ideal people. So it'll be things like, where are they located? How old are they? What kind of occupations do they have? What kinds of incomes do they have? Or what kind of assets do they have? Do they have specific buying characteristics of some kind? And any other ways you can think of to describe the ideal buyer or customer or client for your particular services. And you know what? I'll throw in again my example as a financial advisor. So my ideal customer has a fairly large amount of assets. They're typically 55 to 60 years of age and older. They're typically more conservative and fearful of losing money. They're typically retired, although they don't have to be. They've often been entrepreneurs in their careers. And we just meld very well because I've been an entrepreneur my whole career, basically. They're typically educated. They're often widowed. Unfortunately, I end up working with a lot of women who have lost their husbands, for example. That gives you, an idea of the kind of people that I tend to look for as financial services clients. So going back to Brewzone, why don't the two of you lay out now your vision of what the ideal customer looks like? And remember, once you've laid out what the customer looks like, you can start to talk about a marketing plan to reach the customer.
I have a question before we do that as well. You mentioned in the beginning, I think one of the first videos was you need to have a need before you come up with a business. Like, it can't just be passion and inspiration. So how do you come up with some of this information? Like, where do you source it from? Are you doing market research? Are you having conversations? Like, are you testing things out and then figuring out what sticks? How did you come to the conclusion that in your own business, those were your people?
My peeps, by education and experience. So I'll give it to you this way. Younger people tend to be less conservative in terms of their investments. They have more time to ride out market ups and downs and cycles, and they tend to be less concerned about a significant market downturn, for example, because they figure they've got 15 years till retirement. It's not a big deal. When people are in retirement, every dollar often matters, or they may not have an awful lot of excess capital to be financially independent with, and they don't have more time to ride out cycles because they're already in the process of living off the assets. So that's why older people tend to be better for conservative investment styles or services. Widows tend to work with me well because many of them, at least of that generation, they were not the person who handled finances in their family. So they appreciate the help of an advisor even more as a result of that. So that gives more value to what I do. The thing about how much money they have is my preference in part, but it is also because some of what I do, if you have under certain amounts of money, you're not able to execute it as easily as otherwise. So looking for that is important from that standpoint. I didn't mention geography. I don't have geography as an issue. I work in the entire country. So, I could be anywhere. Occupations like entrepreneurs, again, it's just been my experience that we have similar life war stories of sorts, that we can talk about when we've both owned a business or a series of businesses and been through ups and downs and, problems and successes and everything else. So it's all of that coming together is what gets me to my target market.
So yeah, let's go through Brewzone, Hallie. We have Little Creek Falls. I'm assuming it's a small town in kind of rural, but maybe a little more suburban. Like there are lots of houses and stuff around it, but there's a town center where there are other markets and
Yeah, we've got little boutiques here and there, but there's no, maybe let's say it has one of the big chains of coffee shops that like goes throughout the whole country.
Yeah, I
Let's
think
have
that's an
one.
even better example because there is competition.
so in our town there's a big chain coffee store and that would not be allowed if people weren't buying coffee. So we already know that people like coffee in our town. So that's proof of concept a little bit. Now, what you and I have noticed is that there's not a small, charismatic, community-centric coffee shop where people can come together. What age range would really love this coffee shop?
I think anyone from around, well, how specific does it have to be? Because I can picture high schoolers coming here after school or before school. I can picture young adults who are self-employed coming here to get work done, or coming here before their shift starts or before their job starts for the day, and that
Remote workers during the day.
middle-aged workers as well. Um, I can see a wide range. I don't know if that will make things harder or easier for marketing.
Okay, how about the question, the other big box chain, what kind of people go there? What age people go there?
Older. Because they have more disposable, I was gonna say they have more money to spend, but then that negates our need.
Well, older may make sense because the brand has been around a long time
Yes.
and it's seen by the older community as a brand they're loyal to, but it may be seen by the younger members of the community as stodgy.
Basic,
Yeah.
to put a Gen Z term in there. Let's say that the chain coffee store, coffee shop has an older audience and it's mainly working professionals who are coming in at the beginning and the end of the day with like a few sparse people working there throughout the day. But it's clear that the energy and the vibe of it is not completely suitable to someone spending a long amount of time there because the vibes are off.
Maybe the furniture itself doesn't.
Uncomfortable. It's slightly outdated. It's really dark and it just doesn't feel like an inviting place to sit down. It might be good for being able to focus because things are very, what's the word, like uniform, but we're looking for some place that maybe will inspire a little bit more creativity, a little more energy, and be a warmer, comfortable environment to, some people might kind of camp out for a few hours and get some work done here.
Mhm.
Yep. So the decor, the furniture could be a part of the differentiation because the furniture in the other store is literally uncomfortable. That, you can go, you can sip your coffee, you can eat your pastry, but you're not going to feel comfortable staying after that. You're just going to get up and go.
Our audience is younger. Based on
Younger.
all of
Yep.
this, I feel like, yeah, we can say that our audience is probably like key target audience is probably like 18 to 35.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I would have said 15 to 40 just for the hell of it. But yeah.
They also really appreciate aesthetics and they love social media. So they love to be able to share cute backdrops and what they're doing and how cool their life is on social media. So they value a place that has just nice decor. So that's important for them. They are also willing to spend money in places that are nice and have a nice environment. That's important to them. They might be in high school, as we mentioned, but they also could be working population, I think. And yeah, I feel pretty clear on this person.
Yeah. You're going to have Wi-Fi services, obviously,
Yeah.
because that's young people want Wi-Fi everywhere they go. So they're not using up their cellular data or their batteries.
And they also likely live within 15 miles, I would say,
Yeah.
of our coffee shop.
So we've defined several characteristics: geography, age, some degree of buying habits, and I guess I'll just say what they want. And then by that I mean cozy, comfy, alternate workspace, alternate meeting space, a place that they can feel comfortable spending a few hours in, not just 15 minutes for coffee and back out the door.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think now from that, you've got a lot of what you need to be able to start putting together a marketing plan. How are we going to reach these people? What are
Well,
we going to do to reach them and make them aware that we exist and motivate them to an action step? Coming to visit us, accepting a free coupon for something, however, we're going to do the marketing.
Well, we know exactly the vision, we know the mission of this company, we know the unique sales proposition, we are very clear on the target market. I'm excited to take it further in the next steps because it feels really clear to me.
speaking of action items, your homework for today is going to be to outline your USP and your target market so that you are ready to start putting together your own marketing plan. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please comment, like, subscribe, and stick around for the next one where we're going to go over the marketing plan.